Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. Bob Pompeani with you until 11 o'clock. So call 412-575-2600. I want to hear from you. I want to talk to you. So that's the way to do it. You can also go on to X at KDPomp is the address there. Boy, a lot to talk about. Of course, we had a week where Mike McCarthy named head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's tried to bring more people in on his staff. It's still unfinished, but a lot have come in, including Patrick Graham, who's going to be their new defensive coordinator. Looks like Scott Tolzien will be the offensive coordinator. Both of them had history with Mike McCarthy. We'll get into that. He seemed to indicate in an interview I did with Coach McCarthy that it looks like Aaron Rodgers is the choice, and whether or not he comes back, but if he does, he's going to be the starter. And to quote Mike, he said that's the plan. So we'll see where that takes you. Will Howard's still in high regard here. There's no question about that. So we'll get into all that Steelers stuff coming up as well. Also, you saw in our sportscast that the 10 coaching vacancies have now been filled. It looks like Clint Kubiak will be the new head coach of the Vegas Raiders. And then you have Mike LaFleur with the Arizona Cardinals. So that will take all 10. Interestingly to note that Chris Shula and Nate Scheelhaus did not get opportunities to be head coach, at least in this cycle. Big story of the weekend is the Pittsburgh Penguins, as they won again, and now they've won 6 in a row for the second time this year. Dan Muse has done a very good job manning this ship and not shying away from young players, not shying away from minutes for the fourth line. He's done a lot of good stuff, and he's got players who have responded to him. But those players were brought in by Kyle Dubas. I would think at this point, Dubas has got to be one of the finalists for Executive of the Year in the NHL. Given what most people thought of the Penguins going into the season, I wasn't one of them. I thought they would be a playoff team. I really liked what they had. And goaltending was going to be goaltending. We don't know how that was going to work, and that was one big question mark. But now that they are where they are, you wonder, what will the Penguins do at the trade deadline? They have the Olympic break coming up later this week. They still have a couple of games left before then. One of them is tomorrow against the Ottawa Senators at home. They'll try to make it 7 in a row. But what do you do if you're that general manager like Kyle Dubas? You're trying to go through a little bit of a rebuild, but you also owe it to guys like Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, Carlson. Hey, they're in it to win it. They get another chance at this, and I think it's a pretty good team. Would you add on, and if so, how would you add on? Let me know at 412-575-2600. A lot of people, like me, think that they should really look hard into Jason Robertson. Dallas is strapped at the cap. They don't have a lot of room there. And they may not be interested in Murashov. A lot of people say, well, trade Murashov and get Robertson. He's 26. He's already a 30-goal scorer twice over. He's a really top talented offensive guy. Murashov looks like the goalie of the future here, but down in Dallas, Jake Ottinger just signed an 8-year contract a couple of years ago, and he has a no-trade clause. So would they actually want Murashov in their system if Ottinger is going to be there for a long time? Interesting situation to try to figure out. But they could make other trades as well. I'd like to hear from you on that at 412-575-2600. The other thing that's kept up tonight, we finally saw Eugenio Suarez, who went through all these weeks and months with no activity, finally get a deal. And it's in the National Central, and it's a very reasonable price, and it's not in the Pittsburgh Pirates. That disappoints me. I thought for sure they'd come up with an offer that would make sense for him. But it didn't happen that way. He signed a 1-year deal for $15 million with the Cincinnati Reds, where in that bandbox, which is Great American Ballpark, you can see why. He's played there before. Ball travels well. He'll hit home runs there. And if his thinking is, well, I can spend 1 year, enhance my stats, and get another deal later, then I'm going to do that. But if you're the Pirates, with this pitching staff the way it is and Paul Skeens leading the way, by all accounts, it's going to be a very good pitching staff. They've gone out and got Brandon Lau, who automatically becomes their best home run hitter, I think. Ryan O'Hearn, who's a decent player to add to it, certainly. He gives you a bat, but I thought they needed a little bit more. They need a third baseman. I really like Jared Triolo, but I don't like him as an everyday starter. I think that's what they needed. Plus, they need DH help as well. Suarez could have solved that with a 49 home run bat. That's not to say he would hit 49 at PNC Park, but he still would be an upgrade in a position where they need power. They need some more offensive help. It also now opens the door for a return for Andrew McCutchen, I would think. If that was holding it up, then, this is an opportunity, because that's been kind of going in a direction that I don't think most people wanted to see it go, which is somewhat acrimonious. They should have dealt with McCutchen at the end of the year last year and made it clear, whichever way they wanted to go. But that has not happened. He's still out there, and it seems like he wants to come back. We'll have more on that coming up. Also want to hear from you at 412-575-2600. Be sure to join us for the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown tonight. It's on after the late news, which is on after the Grammys right now. On that show, we'll have Mike DeCourcy, Mark Cabali, and Will Graves. Want to hear from you next, so call us right here, right now. 412-575-2600. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, 7 nights a week, right here on KDKA+. All right, welcome back. This is our GMC Mega Xfinity tweet of the night. Old habits are hard to break. Jason Mackey of the Post-Gazette says, I'm told Pirates offer same average annual value on Eugenio Suarez, which was $15 million. They were willing to go higher as well as add another year. Sounds like his choice came down to a better ballpark fit, familiarity, and a chance to cash in next year with a big season. I would wonder why he wouldn't do it now. He's getting older. Get that opportunity now in Pittsburgh. He didn't take it. He ends up in Cincinnati. And if I were the Pirates, I would have said, okay, we'll give you $20 million. I'll raise it. This is the chance to do something with Paul Skeens and this pitching staff here while it lasts. And if it doesn't, then you're going to miss out on something. And I think it's worth 1 year, $20 million if they had to go that high or whatever the case may be. And if it was his choice, it was his choice. But sometimes in baseball, you got to make them an offer they can't refuse. And I think the Pirates could have done that. We have a little battle here between Joel Haas and Yinsberg Adam, who says Penn State and Michigan State drew 74,575 fans to Beaver Stadium for today's hockey game. That was yesterday. That's more than the attendance of the College Football National Championship. And then Yinsberg Adam responds, well, the final result of the game in so many levels below what Penn State fans actually care about the most, which is attendance, which is what then was returned. Zach Senko says Penn State has more fans show up for an outdoor hockey game when it's 15 degrees than Pitt does for a football game with nice weather. So that's going to go back and forth. That was a nice experience to watch Penn State and Michigan State yesterday. Had an outdoor game tonight in the NHL, and it was Tampa Bay down 5-1 to Boston, came back and won that in a shootout 6-5. So what a night it was for Tampa down there in Tampa, and the temperature actually cooperated for a Winter Classic or a Stadium Series, as it was only in the 30s. As you know, that cold snow bomb, whatever they call that, up the East Coast, laid some snow in a lot of places you wouldn't expect, and very cold temperatures. All right, let's get to the calls. 412-575-2600, beginning with Terry in Connellsville, who joins us right now. Hello, Terry. How are you?
Hey, Bob. Suarez, he was not going to come to the Pirates this year.
Why not?
Still probably. Well, he played with the Reds before.
Okay. Paul Skeens is on this team. He's a Cy Young winner, and he's probably going to be the same favorite going in. And they have a lot of good young pitching.
Big difference in hitting dimensions between PNC and Cincinnati. That's home run derby out there. The other thing, the Pirates are talking about trading for Bohm from Philadelphia, and there's this rumor about Castellanos. So somewhere in there, they're going to get something worked out. But, you got a Gold Glove third baseman with Trolio.
I know that, but you need also offense, and he's a good player to have. I'm not saying he isn't. He's a guy who can play all the positions. I'm just saying, if you're the Pirates, sometimes you got to go over and above if you're going to try to compete. You've created the situation, so now go out and do something. And maybe, I'd love to talk to Suarez and see exactly why he made this decision, and if the Pirates would have offered more, would he have changed his mind? Maybe that's truth. Maybe he just didn't want to come to Pittsburgh. But that's a problem they've had to deal with for many years, and they need to change it. Now, one way to do that is overpay for now. And again, I'm saying this in the context of having Paul Skeens here for the next couple of years, and then down the road, who knows where that's going to go. Back to the lines we go, and we have Lou in Baldwin. Hey, Lou, how are you?
Hey, Bob, how are you?
Good, thank you for calling.
Yes, sir. Aaron Rodgers, really, I don't think he's the answer. The man can't scramble. He can't run. He's afraid to run because he's afraid of getting hurt. I really don't think that he should be brought back. Who makes the final call on that decision?
Well, I think it's Aaron Rodgers. If he wants to come back, he's going to make it known. I think they have expressed, and probably Mike McCarthy has a lot to do with that. He said last year when he came to Pittsburgh, it would only be to play for Mike Tomlin. Well, I would have imagined if there was another guy besides Tomlin who wasn't in the picture at the time, but now is Mike McCarthy. They've had a lot of years together, and it may not have been totally, just smooth sailing. They've had their moments, but that's how it is with a coach and quarterback. So I think they probably want it, and clearly they want to still try to win now. He probably is your best bet to win now. He's shown a lot that he can, but you're right. The limitations and what he can do when pressured, that's a concern. We saw that in the Houston playoff game. We saw it in the Cleveland game, quite frankly, the week before the Baltimore game. He didn't want to get to that Ravens game knowing they had to win it and play everybody, but they actually had to do that because they lost in Cleveland. So there's pros and cons both ways, but I get the feeling, based on talking to McCarthy, that Rodgers is the first choice, and when it happens, he'll come back for one more year. And then we'll see where that goes next year, because next year's a very important year when it comes to quarterback futures. Back to the lines, and this is David in Finleyville. What's up, David? How are you?
Hi, Bob. Thanks for taking my call. I
Sure.
wanted to ask you, what do you think about Patrick Graham, and how do you see him shaping up the Steelers' defense? And do you think they'll make a trade maybe at the draft for maybe someone for Ramsey or someone? I'll hang up and listen.
There are so many ifs here, David. First of all, with Patrick Graham, he's been around a long time. He had, I think, 5 or 6 years with Bill Belichick to start his career. He ended up with Vegas last year, and the numbers will tell you that it wasn't a very good Vegas defense. But he also had a lot to deal with. That defense was not all that good. It was all that deep. Max Crosby was the main guy there, and then he ends up, getting involved with management at the end of that season. Their cornerbacks were not good enough to play, I think, what he likes to play, which is press coverage. So they were playing a lot of zone. He has a history with Mike McCarthy, who knows him, so we'll see how that goes. I can't give you an answer other than that. He's been around. His numbers in Vegas weren't all that good, but I think it goes beyond him, and it's about the personnel there. Chuck in Uniontown. Hey, Chuck, what's going on?
Good evening. Thanks once again, Bob. Yeah, just like you, I'm disappointed on the Suarez thing because, it seems to me, Bob, that the Pirates are taking us to the front of the altar, but they're not marrying us. They've gone half the way, but the job isn't complete, and they still need help, just like you said they were. And the Pirates have to realize they backed themselves into a corner after all these years of sordid failures like this. And to get out, nobody's going to help them but them. Like you are exactly right. They have to go up above and beyond, and it doesn't seem to me like they're willing to do that. They might be better, but the job doesn't seem to be finished, and they might not be as good as we think they could be.
Well, certainly the Cubs, Chuck, have upgraded. The Reds have upgraded. Maybe he wanted to play for Terry Francona more so than Donnie Kelly. I have no idea if this is true, what Jason has reported, that he heard that Suarez was offered the same thing by the Pirates, and the Pirates even added another year on top of it, and he chose otherwise, then that's the case. And if you can't make him sign it if he's not willing to sign it, I'd like to know that for sure. And I would like to know how high the Pirates would have gone and with a counter offer. If they knew that the 15 was on the table from the Reds, what could they have gone to? Joe in Verona is on the line right now, and now he's on the sports call. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Good. What's going on tonight?
Well, two things. The Roger thing, I'm not impressed at all. It's, to me, he's okay, but against the bad teams, he was fair. Against the real stronger teams, terrible. And I don't know if McCarthy can change the offense, but I'm not really excited about it. It could be a lost year anyway, even though Rooney doesn't want it. And the other thing, whereas they should have just flat out offered him $40 million 2 years and see what happened. If he said no with that would have been okay. And I'm not impressed with the Roger thing, but thanks a lot, Bob.
All right, Joe. Well, we'll see how it goes. If they have to have a plan B in mind in case Rodgers does decide that he's not going to do it. From what I understand, that's probably a small percentage. It's more likely he does come back. But if he doesn't, that would make for a very interesting dilemma. Now, what do you do? They still want to win now, but they also have to develop a future quarterback. This would pave the way for me to see exactly what Will Howard had. Even Mason Rudolph, just find out what you got and spend the whole year doing that, and then you come away at least knowing going into 2027 what you have there. Or they can go out in free agency and decide to sign a Malik Willis or make a deal, whatever the case with any quarterback that's out there. Some people brought up Mac Jones. I would not be all that enthralled with that. I'd rather just, if I'm going to do that, I'd rather start Howard or Mason Rudolph here and see where it takes me. So there are a lot of ways this can still go, and we'll find out in time. But listen, if Rodgers comes back and he still has the mind, he still has the arm, I think we saw that. If you give him another receiver or two, and you think Mike McCarthy's offense is what it can bring out the best in any quarterback, specifically him, then that's a deal you'd want to make, I think. So we'll see. It's going to come down to what they add to their receiving room. And if they believe that because of those additions that he can be a better offensive, and they got to get a ball quickly. You can't just hold it with him, obviously. That's why the offensive line, it's growing up, it's gone better, and I hope it gets better in the next year because they're going to need it to be that way given the pressure that you can bet that Rodgers will get from other teams. We're time for a break. We'll take it right now. It's 412-575-2600. 7 nights a week we do this show right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, KDKA+, and most nights, 93.7 The Fan. All right, welcome back. Bob Pompeani with you for the next few minutes. Join us tonight after the news on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Let's go out to Greg in Mount Lebanon. Hello, Greg.
Hi, Bob. First off, love the coat, love the tie.
I'm already thinking spring and I'm thinking Masters. Can't help it. Thank you.
Love it. Love it. If I would have told you after the Steelers scored 6 points, if they were going to bring back Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, what would you have said?
You mean bring in Mike McCarthy?
Yes, bring in and bring back Aaron Rodgers. What would you have thought?
First of all, I would have thought that they would have brought in somebody younger just because that's what they have done over all these years. So I was looking more toward the list of guys, who are in the 38, 39, 40 range. And they certainly thought of some of them. But it ended up going right to McCarthy, and they didn't even bother bringing back Shula or Shieldhouse for an interview. So they felt strongly about Mike McCarthy, and his offensive, abilities are there. He's coached good quarterbacks. He's put up good offensive numbers, and they have a relationship. So I didn't think McCarthy was in the picture at the beginning. Once he became head coach, a return for Rodgers certainly makes sense, if not for just this year. It can't go beyond this year. I thought it couldn't go beyond last year, but now I'm saying if it comes back for this year, then it's got to be one more, and then you move on. You have to figure out at some point who the future quarterback of this franchise will be. And it may open up more next year, although in this year's draft, there's still names out there that they're intrigued with. You heard about Ty Simpson. They really seem to like him. There are others, but I don't think they rise to the level of Fernando Mendoza, for example. So we'll see how it goes. Tomorrow night, the Penguins in action against the Ottawa Senators. They make it 7 in a row with a win. They're playing as good as anybody, short of the Tampa Bay Lightning, which are now 17-1-1 in their last 19 games, so they're on fire. But the Penguins have certainly become one of the stories of the season in the NHL. That story will continue, and then you wonder what the story will be like at the trade deadline. Will they add a chapter of trades or sell-offs? They're not going to sell off, but they may bring in some people. We'll talk more about that in the weeks ahead. In the meantime, thank you for joining me tonight, and we'll see you again tonight after the late news on KDKA 1135, actually more around midnight for the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Have a good week.